Okay, everyone, let's get started. Good afternoon, alumni friends and Ollie members. So good to see all of you, those that I can see on video, and so glad that the rest of you could be here with us today. It's been a pretty difficult 2 weeks for all of us, for the community, for the campus, for Asheville and the region, and it's going to take a long time for us to process this. Many of us are still without power or water or reliable service or internet especially, and we're spending a lot of time during our days trying to deal with that. Hopefully, some of you are beginning to see some relief today as the non-potable water begins to flow through Asheville. We're anxious to hear about all of you and being able to access that water. And especially thank you for the questions that you submitted. So a lot of the questions centered on Ollie returning to campus, on athletics, and on ways to support the institution. So I've included Vice Chancellor Kirk Swenson for University Advancement, our athletic director, Janet Cohn, and our chief of staff and general counsel, John Doherty, and the executive director of Ollie, Dr. Catherine Frank, on this Zoom. If during the call you have additional questions, please put them in the chat so that we can answer them and include them in our further updates. It'll be really important. It's really good for us to hear the questions because it helps us think differently sometimes about the issues that we're dealing with. First, I want you to know that we've had a team of emergency managers and our emergency management center who have been on campus pretty much around the clock since the storm began. These folks have taken care of students during the storm. They've taken care of communications through the emails and Bulldog Alert. They've been managing communications with the system office, clearing the overwhelming number of fallen trees, as I'm sure you're seeing in your communities as well, and the list goes on. And I really want to thank the many student affairs, public safety, and campus operations staff for being here during the storm and right after the storm. They were here and not with their families and loved ones. And so we applaud them for their selfless dedication to the students. UNC Asheville has also been a hub for local emergency responders as a place for them to eat every day. We've served more than 14,000 meals to emergency workers. I'm so grateful for our friends at Chartwell's who've gone above and beyond to help keep these people who have been clearing our streets and keeping our cities safe and doing all the volunteer work that they've been doing. We're also hosting a Salvation Army volunteer site on one of our parking lots. And early on, we had a FEMA search and rescue team from Arizona on site. And we're also housing and feeding the many UNC sister institutions teams that are coming to help on campus. As we noted last week in last week's university briefing, we are waiting on safe running water before we move students back to campus. The city, with other state and federal officials, continue to work around the clock to repair the water system and to get everyone up and running. Our Director of Emergency Management, Matt Petty, and his team continue to work with city and county officials daily to receive progress reports and ensure campus is ready when the water is deemed safe. We cannot bring students back to live in the residence halls without safe water. So having safe water running through our pipes here is absolutely the linchpin. And once we have that, we will get every student back on campus as soon as possible. Our campus operations team, led by Melissa Acker and Scott Walker, have worked incredibly hard. If you had seen the campus the day of the hurricane and today, you would not have believed the difference. They have cleaned debris, cut trees, restored power, ensured that everything will be ready for us when water is restored. However, again, we can't reopen the campus to students until we have that clean water, and our greatest hope is that it happens very soon. As you know, there are reports of water flowing out there, and many of you, I hope, have already begun to see a trickle. But the water coming in is not immediately safe, as you know, and we have a huge system here at the university. So we're working to plan for a gradual and monitored return of water. This in order to avoid any inadvertent damage to our pipes and systems that themselves might take months to repair. So we don't want to have one step forward and 17 steps backwards. So we're feverishly putting together a plan to safely repressurize our lines and to prepare for the eventual arrival of that clean water. President Peter Hans of the university system visited our campus yesterday to view the damage and to thank many of our workers. Each of the UNC system schools across the state not affected by Helene has sent us assistance in the form of grounds personnel, food trucks, police and campus safety workers, personal protective equipment, and equipment for various projects. It has been just amazing to witness such kind humanity from the other institutions. We have had over 200 people from other UNC institutions come to help us: counselors, police officers, clinicians, student affairs professionals, plumbers, tree cutters, you name it. They have been flowing towards us, and we are very proud to have them here. We've received a lot of questions also about what we are planning to do about making the campus more resilient in the face of natural disasters in the future. And as part of President Han's visit, he and I discussed the creation of a resilience package to put before the next Board of Governors and for the legislative session. This package would include, but not be limited to, a proposal for solar panels on university buildings, digging our own water wells, and other resources to ensure we can be more self-sufficient in the future. We know these proposals are more important than ever, but we need funding and legislative support to make them happen. In the interim, to defray some of the additional costs that we've incurred over the last 2 weeks, the university's established a disaster relief fund. To date, we have raised approximately $215,000. This money will be used with guidance from our trustees and senior leadership to take care of some of the highest needs of the community at this time. And we'll be sending out information soon about how impacted students, faculty, and staff can apply for emergency relief funds. So I'm going to turn things over now to our Chief of Staff and General Counsel, John Doherty, who's going to moderate some of the questions that you have submitted about Ollie first and then about other areas. Catherine is also on this call. So Catherine, please feel free to chime in if you'd like. So John, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you very much, Chancellor. And thank you to everyone that's taken time to join us this afternoon. As the Chancellor said, I'm John Doherty, our Chief of Staff and General Counsel here at UNC Asheville. I'll start off with questions that we've received related to Ollie. And as the Chancellor said, Dr. Catherine Frank is on the call if there's anything to add there. And then after that, we have a few other members of senior staff that have joined us to also answer questions that have been received. So first, with regard to Ollie, if you have not received it already, I believe there was a communication sent to Ollie members explaining that courses have been canceled for this term, for the fall term. And understandably, questions have arisen about the possibility of refunds or credits for this term. At the moment, we're not in a position to offer certainty on that, but it's certainly being considered. I think there are a number of moving parts right now that make it difficult to say exactly what the plan is, but please know that those requests and questions have been heard and that more information will be forthcoming regarding refunds, regarding potential credits, or other opportunities to support the university and Ollie through this difficult time. Another was a question about the status of Ollie, especially with regard to the water system and how similar it may be situated to the university generally. And in response to that, I'll say that unfortunately, or as the matter stands, Ollie is part of the university proper. So as the Chancellor gives updates on the status of the university with regard to our infrastructure, the same relates to Ollie. And that is among the issues that make it difficult to operate at the moment. And likewise, as water is restored on campus, the Chancellor reiterated it needs to be done carefully, sensitively, and with great caution. And so I expect that likewise would occur for Ollie. Oh, the great question in the chat. For those that don't know, Ollie is our lifelong learning institute that is situated here at UNC Asheville. In addition to our friends and alumni on the call, we do have membership from Ollie, which are individuals who are members of the Lifelong Learning Institute and are friends and affiliates of campus. Ollie is situated here at UNC Asheville, so individuals come to receive continuing and lifelong education here at the university. And so Ollie is similarly impacted as the university is. So unless Dr. Frank has anything else to add, I'd like to move on to our athletic director, Janet Cohn, who is also on the call and hopefully can provide some updates about our Bulldog athletics and how things are operating. So Janet, I wanted to start and see if you could just provide an overall update, status report on UNC Asheville athletics, how the teams are doing and how things are progressing. And then we have a few more detailed questions, but Janet, please take it away.
Okay, thank you, John. Once again, it's great to see everyone on here. As you know, we have 16 sports, and back on September the 26th, as the first part of the storm hit, we literally shut down all of our 16 sports. And as this has transpired, what we quickly realized, unlike COVID, the whole world was not shut down. So teams were already competing and we were falling behind. And I don't know, a lot of collaboration and teamwork, we were able to literally relocate almost 300 of our student athletes, coaches, and staff on not only sister institutions such as Greensboro and Charlotte, and but also others like Emory and Henry, Wofford, Gardner-Webb. I can go on and on, USC Upstate. So our student athletes began on October the 7th to go to other campuses where they are being treated just like the students on those campuses with all the services, mental health, any kind of support they need. Our coaches and our staff are with them. And last Friday, we actually started competing again. And you may ask, why is this important? Like I mentioned, when COVID shut down everyone was stopped. But with this, our seniors and our other student athletes would be losing a year of eligibility, and you can't get that back. So we assess this, and everybody's been very cooperative. I also want to say we've canceled during this period of time. We were scheduled to host a run, jump, and throw with some Olympic athletes on our new track. We canceled our Hoops at Highlands kickoff event for basketball. We canceled the Big South fall tennis championships that we were host, and also our French Broad Collegiate Invitational Golf tournament that we were scheduled to host in October. We canceled all those. And Catherine, unfortunately, we couldn't do our Fab Friday in October either, but we'll be back up there with our friends from Ollie at some point in time here. So, obviously we've had to use a football analogy, drop back and punt. And once again, we've been very fortunate. So many people have helped us. We had a question, I think, too, John, wasn't it one about basketball? And
Yeah,
so
that's
just to,
right.
Yeah,
So
just
thank you for
today.
that overall update. And I was wondering, we're all
Yeah.
supporters of all of our Bulldogs, but especially the basketball teams. And as we're approaching that season, I'm wondering if you could give an update on what we're planning for basketball season.
Well, as we speak right now, the Big South Basketball Media Day is occurring in Charlotte, North Carolina to kick off basketball season. Our coaches are there. Our men's team, by the way, got picked 4th, and Josh Banks got picked to the preseason all conference team. So basketball is moving pretty quickly, and we are scheduled as early November to have home games. We have contingency plans for those where we may be flipping those to play away. So no decision today, but we will be getting some of that information out next week to tell you what we are going to do with those early games. I will tell you this, men's basketball was already playing on the road a lot in November, so virtually they're not going to miss too many home games in November either, but more to come on that. Thank you for your support.
Excellent. And one more for you, Janet. Do you have any information you can share on the Leaders for Leaders program?
Yeah, I definitely want to share that because many of our Ollie friends and alumni and local community supporters are part of our, I think about 100 Leader for Leaders mentor now. Rebecca Nelms has tried to reach out to almost every last one of you to see how you are and what's going on. Many of you have volunteered either to feed our team a meal or something when they come back, or reach out to the student athlete that you are mentoring. So we are kind of doing that remotely, much like what we did in COVID. But that program is still up and running. And those student athletes, on behalf of them, I want to thank you for reaching out to them, because our Leaders for Leaders have been really good doing that to give some additional support.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Janet, and for all you're doing for our UNC Asheville student athletes. I want to turn it over to Kirk in just a moment. But before I do, Jen, is there anything else that you wish to add? Any other updates that were not addressed in those questions?
Yeah, the one other update I want to mention, the chancellor said, obviously our campus is in great shape, but the university does have a facility on the corner of Broadway, right across from the Steam Studio. We affectionately call it the Athletics Annex. There's other things in there, but that building was certainly flooded. So our golf and our men's and women's tennis lost quite a almost, well, 100% of all their supplies, the practice facility, everything. So, we'll be working on that to find alternate spaces for them to be on campus. And because some of you have asked about that, but that building was definitely flooded.
Thank you for that update, Janet. So at this time, I want to recognize our Vice Chancellor for University Advancement, Kirk Swinson, who can provide some updates on opportunities to support the university in our recovery efforts. And if I could, Kirk, the Chancellor mentioned our disaster relief fund and gave us a brief overview there, but I'm wondering if you could provide more information about what that's looking like and maybe some of the identified priorities for that fund.
Sure, I'm happy to. Thanks, John. Let me just start off by saying I can confirm for you that our entire university advancement team, many of whom you know and love, are all well. But like the rest of us, many of us impacted by the storm in pretty severe ways, but everyone's okay and we're back at work. So, John, you mentioned the disaster relief fund, and that's been a real bright spot for us. I will say that's something that's really lifted our spirits. The Chancellor mentioned we've raised over $215,000 in new gifts for that fund since the storm. There have been 470 gifts actually to that fund, and that's really heartwarming for us. Two nice stories about that. Two of the gifts that I like to talk about: Towson University, which is in Philadelphia. The director of their honors program there reached out. Their honors students got together and hosted a fundraiser for UNC Asheville, and they've made a gift in support of that fund, specifically in support of our students. That's pretty nice. So a school a long ways away, think about how they can help. The other, and this news just came today, but the UNC system has a student government association. So we have one on each campus, but there's a system-wide student government association. That group also reached out today to let us know that they were going to be sending a gift to our disaster relief fund. So just two nice ways that I think students across the state and across the country are stepping up for UNC Asheville. That disaster relief fund is an unrestricted fund, and that means it really allows us to respond quickly to needs, both anticipated and unanticipated. So the Chancellor mentioned some of the ways that we are putting those gifts to use. We're really prioritizing unmet needs of our students as well as our faculty and our staff. So this includes individuals whose homes are damaged, and people who have technology needs associated with moving to online learning, as well as students who may need additional support to enable them to continue their studies. This includes students whose household income has been impacted by the storm and by recovery efforts. So if you're interested in ensuring that the university bounces back even stronger, remains strong, I would recommend allocating a gift there. If you go to our homepage, you can't miss it. Or there's a pop-up that directs you to make a gift to that disaster relief fund. Just a few other quick things. It pains me to say that we postponed a number of events due to the storm that include our alumni and friends. So our Common Word Read programs with Wiley Cash are on hold currently. And we had some pretty terrific ones coming up. Rather than try to do those halfway, we decided we're going to wait and get them in place when we're able to fully support those. We just made the decision this morning to postpone our annual scholarship luncheon. That is, if you know me, that's my favorite event of the year, and it really pains me to do that. I love bringing scholarship donors and recipients together each year. We want to make sure that we do that at a time when we know that students are going to be here to appreciate those connections, and that our donors, our scholarship donors, are able to connect with kids. So we'll hold that event in, we're actually aiming toward January, being the right time for that.
Excellent.
I said, if you know me well, you know some things about me, you will know that I am an optimistic person fundamentally, but I'm also not a Pollyanna. And this has been extraordinarily hard. It's tough on the university, and many of the people, the faces that you see here, have been leading from the front. Seeing our alumni and friends show up for us in that moment of need really has been a bright spot. It has lifted spirits throughout. And I am extraordinarily grateful to everyone who has done that already. It gives me a lot of hope. It makes me think that the university has the opportunity to emerge even stronger in a really difficult moment. I know we had a couple of questions. John, would you like me to run through those?
Sure,
Or
at
you
any pace
want
you'd
to
like
direct that?
to. So some of the other topics that would be useful to hit on is you've talked about the disaster relief fund, and I think that's probably the main mechanism of support that we're highlighting right now. But if there are other mechanisms of support or ways that people can provide resources, maybe speaking to that, and then other opportunities that the university is also pursuing to gain the support and resources that we need to come back even stronger.
Yep. So thanks. So I'm really going to steer people toward financial support at this point. And the primary reason for that is we are operating on a skeleton crew as a university right now. We're not in a position, I wish that we were, but we're not in a position to coordinate other types of aid and efforts on behalf of the university right now. So I know that there's a lot of expertise out there among all of you. And when we move beyond this sort of critical early stage, we will reach out and ask you for help. And I anticipate that people will be willing to step forward. At this point, all volunteer efforts are really being coordinated by our sister university, UNC system institutions who have that infrastructure in place and are stepping in for us, but please stay tuned on that piece. I know that there was a question about concern about the National Climactic Data Center from an alum who worked there part-time as a student, whether it was damaged or not. So we know that they have this right now, that center has the same types of issues that we have, specifically internet connectivity, but we don't have any information that they've had structural damage. So as far as I know, that group will be back up and running as we all are. There was a question also about other types of grants and support the university could apply for to alleviate some of the incurred costs of Helene. So the answer to that is absolutely. And they're on multiple fronts. So our CFO is here on this call. His office is coordinating both really the federal funds that are available. You can imagine, a very laborious and careful process. And so we've got a number of people across the university working on that. In terms of philanthropic support, we're in conversation with several of our longtime foundation partners. And a number of those have already committed, that have already stepped up for us. Longtime partners include the Spangler Foundation, which was, I think, the first phone call that we received. The Duke Energy Foundation step forward for the university. The Belk Foundation, we just heard from today, they're also stepping forward for us. So the answer is yes. We're also proactively looking at organizations that provide the type of support that we're looking for, and have made some initial outreach to those organizations, and some have welcomed proposals. So the answer is yes. The last question I have here, in case there are any more in the chat, someone will jump in, but is homecoming still being planned for spring? So absolutely. And as a matter of fact, we just today, or just this week, set the date for homecoming. So you can mark it on your calendars. You heard it here first. February 15th is the day there'll be a doubleheader, men's and women's basketball. And I really hope you'll make plans to join us. We want to see as many of you here on campus as possible.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Kirk. We have one other member of our senior team here that I'd like to call upon that we didn't mention before, but we have our provost, a fairly new provost, Yvonne Villanueva Russell. This may be your first exposure for many of you to our provost, but it shouldn't be lost on you that everything that we're talking about today in terms of our response and recovery, it is, for the very lofty and righteous reason of educating our students and our educational enterprise. So we'd be remiss if not to speak briefly, at least, to what we're doing in terms of our academic continuity and resilience there. So, Provost, if you're able, would you mind giving a few comments about how that how those plans are going and what we're thinking about from an academic continuity standpoint?
Thanks for the opportunity to speak, and it's a pleasure to meet all of you. I just keep saying, I'm sorry that we're meeting under these circumstances. So I'm sorry that we're meeting under these circumstances. What we're doing for the academic side of the house is basically putting our students first and foremost. We know that they are all accounted for and they are relatively safe, but they're not able to yet rejoin campus. We don't want to, again, hold out and stall their academic progress. So we have made the decision that we will return to instruction on October the 28th. And on the 28th, we will be returning by online instruction. So we believe that is the best method without students being on campus face-to-face. We also know that presents a range of challenges for our students and also for our faculty, because many of them not only lack water, they lack electricity and they lack an internet connection. So we are doing several things to provide for that. We're working with the larger UNC system to provide laptops and tablets and hotspots for people that have a safe place to work but lack connectivity. We are also providing and setting up some shared co-work spaces around the city. We're hoping to have one in the north, south, east, and west, so that if you simply need a quiet place to go, or you want some community with other people, and you've got a laptop, you just need a stronger internet connection, that will be available as well. So we are planning for every contingency, hoping that at some point in the semester, maybe we can welcome students back and faculty back to campus. But until that point, we have got a very strong online plan providing support for our students and our faculty. And I see our classes asynchronous and synchronous, a mix of both. Flexibility will be our top priority. We know some of our faculty and our students are at other people's houses trying to teach and learn on their neighbor's couch. So with that, they may have a class that's broadcast to their students, but it would also be recorded so the student can confer with that material at their convenience when their bandwidth allows.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Provost. As the Chancellor mentioned, we have a number of folks going above and beyond to help with these efforts and get us back on track. And the flexibility and creativity of our academic affairs team and our faculty is and will be phenomenal and very well needed. So thank you for that update. I think that's all the questions that we had before. I see questions coming in through the chat. I appreciate that. Please keep those coming. We want those questions so that we can provide answers in future updates. And this time I will turn it back over to Chancellor Van Noort for closing remarks.
Thank you so much. It means the world to us that you took the time to spend with us and learn about what's happening here at the university and ask questions. As Kirk said, this outpouring of support for us has just been overwhelming and so heartening. I do feel like Kirk and so many of us here, we are going to emerge from this stronger than ever. It's been a challenging year. When this happened, we all looked at each other and we said, you've got to be kidding. What more could possibly happen? But we have come through this with shining colors. I'm so proud of our team, so proud of our students. They were rock stars during the storm. They followed our instructions. They stayed inside. We managed to feed them lunch after the things had calmed down, and then dinner. It was all hands on deck, and they helped each other, and they were cooperative and supportive, just like we know our students are. And now they're out in the communities, volunteering, starting their own relief efforts. It's just been amazing. It's been amazing to hear about stories from our alums and what they are doing to help their communities, and stories about our faculty and staff. So I think UNC Asheville, really, everyone here has really done this institution proud throughout this very, very difficult time. And several of you have sent really nice notes in the question section, and you're getting them some in the chat here. It means a lot to us. It's been a really difficult couple of weeks, and to know that we have the support of people like you all is really important. This has been, this is the goal. That I think that we want all of the things that we do for you to be helpful, And I'm just grateful. Our most important friends are you all. And so, we will keep in touch, keep watching out for my updates. If you have any questions, you can email us. You can, we have a website, helene@unca.edu, where you can ask questions if you have other issues. We're going to have a lot more information. The situation is constantly evolving. We're having another meeting first thing in the morning to make some critical decisions, because things are getting better. They're getting better every day. We know so many of you have, and so many in our community have suffered incredible losses. That has been very difficult for us. We've had some other losses on campus, but no faculty, staff, or students have been injured, or that we have no fatalities. Several people have lost homes, other possessions, etc. But we are very blessed and very fortunate to have done so well. And I also want to recognize Steve Tuttle, who's on, wave there, Steve, from our Alumni Association. He's been a rock star. Thank you for all your support. I know you've been doing a lot behind the scenes. Michael's been keeping me abreast of all of that. So thank you. Stay warm. It's going to be a chilly night tonight. We're praying for all those people who are without shelter. We know that it's going to be a difficult next few days for them, but we will get there together. And thank you so much for your involvement with us, and we will remain Bulldog strong.